All right, so here's the continuation of the topic of the process of interaction design. Here are the four basic activities of interaction design. We have discovering the requirements, designing alternatives, prototyping alternative designs, and evaluating product and its experience throughout. So in discovering requirements, this actually covers if you have observed in the double diamond of design, discovering is it covers the left side of the design or the double diamond design, and it focused on discovering something new, no, about about the problem or about the world, and later on defining what are the things, no, that should be developed. And in the case sa interaction design, it includes in discovering that includes first is understanding the user. Now, it is very important that the developer should understand the target users and support an interactive product. Okay. Next is designing the alternatives. So this is actually part of the develop phase in the double diamond. This includes proposing of proposing ideas for uh, meeting the requirements. Okay, so in the case of interaction design, this can be viewed, no, as two sub-activities. So naa siya duha, no, ka activities that involved. So we have the conceptual design and the concrete design. So in conceptual, that involves of course producing the concept. Okay, so unsay relationship sa imong problem, sa goals sa imong users, and that also includes conceptual models that the developer should follow, no, considered as the roadmap in designing the interface. And it also describes abstraction in outlining what people can do, no, with the product, and unsay mga concepts nga needed to really understand, no, to really understand how to interact with it. While the concrete design, this have, no, or it considers the details of the product, no, so uh, it relates to the physical, no, the physical aspect of your design, no, that includes the colors, also that includes the images nga gamiton, ang menus and icon, no, and even the sounds nga gamiton sa imong design. All right, so those are the activities, no, involved sa designing alternatives. And for the prototyping, again, this is still, no, part of the develop phase in the double diamond. And in the interaction design, that includes the interactive products, as well as the look and the feel, no, ang products itself and how the products look and how does it feel in the when the user used the product. And the most effective way for users to evaluate such design, since in prototyping the user should have a product, no, product that uh, product nga ma-evaluate niya. So makita niya, ma-feel niya, ma-experience niya. And this can be achieved only through prototyping. And in prototyping, it doesn't directly require software, no? Kung wala pa kay software, no, at hand, but uh, there's a need, no, for prototyping, you can use the paper-based prototyping, where you can uh, build your prototype through drawing or sketching, and this is considered as the cheapest, no, cheapest and the quickest way in building uh, effective designs. And this is also used, no, to identify problems in the early stages of the design, no, through role playing users, no, mga inana. So aside sa prototyping, like uh, kaning paper based, there's also the role playing, where the users can get a real sense of uh, unsa joy unsa joy naa sa imuhang design. And lastly is evaluation. This is still a part of the develop phase, and it is determining the process of uh, or it is the process of uh, determining the usability and the acceptability sa product. Okay, so in terms of uh, classes, or in terms of variety nga gigamit sa usability, and also the variety used in or the variety in user experience criteria used. Okay, so these are these are the four basic, no, activities actually in the interaction design, or this sums up the the parts, no, not all, but the parts of the double diamond design. Okay, so here is a simple life cycle model for interaction design. And to really start, no, to start in designing, the first step is to understand what activities are involved, no? Like what I have discussed uh, earlier. No, it is very important to determine or and to understand unsa nga activities ang involved in designing. And it is also important, it is parallel uh, 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 equally important to consider how those activities are related, no? Related to one another. Hence the term life cycle, or life cycle model, or what we call as the process model. This is used to represent a model that captures a set of activities and how they are related. So as you can see here, we are using this is actually the classic, no, a classic simple interaction design life cycle model. So existing models, they have different levels of complexity, and often they are not required in on all types of problem or design. No, it's not actually one key fits all, but for projects that involve a uh, for projects involving only a few experienced developers, no, such as simple process, or such as process that uh, contains I mean dali siya, or it has a solution, or it has a steps that can be solved easily. It only requires a simple process, no. Simple process is adequate For larger system that involves tens or hundreds of developers with hundreds of users, this type of process will won't be enough. And this won't be enough to provide the management structure and the discipline necessary, to produce a usable product. And many life cycle models, have been proposed already in the interaction design field. For example, sa software engineering life cycle models, that includes waterfall model, that includes V model, na ay RAD model. I'll just uh, leave those at your own kung ano lang, researching, so that you could be able to study more, on those stated nga mga models. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on I'm going to focus explaining the details of the model that we have here, what we call as the classic life cycle model. So, and many projects, they starts by discovering the requirements, no? As you can see here, the first step is actually discovering the requirements. Okay, so this one. From which the alternative design or designing alternatives is created, no? Through these requirements, um, uh, designing alternatives are created, and also prototype version of the design are developed, and then evaluated before it actually released as a final product. But before that, since this is a life cycle, since this is an iterative cycle, it wouldn't stop there, no? Makita na to na ay arrows going back to the first stage, going back to the second stage, no? And from the second stage, pwede siya mabalik sa first stage, and from the third stage, mupal so mabalik siya sa second stage. All right, so uh, exactly how this process goes will actually varies, no, on unsa siya nga project, no? It varies from project to project. And however, many times sa isa ka cycle, it always the development always ends with evaluation activity. Okay, and that ensures the final product, no, that ensures nga ang final product meets the prescribed user experience and the criteria set, no, in the discovering requirements. That is why night times kung mobalik siya sa discovering requirements if the criteria is not met. Okay, and uh, also there's another example here, another life cycle model, what we call as a Google design sprint. Now this one, uh, it was actually developed a structured approach to design, no? that support a rapid ideation and testing. No, so this is a sprint. This is a sprint type design, which is divided into 5 phases. No, namely the unpack, sketch, decide, prototype, and test. And each phase is completed in a day. So kung mubora nga project or software ang design or i-design or i-develop, this is applicable kaning Google Design Sprint. Now again, a type of lifecycle model use will depend on the type of project or a type of development nga buhaton sa isa ka developer. And as the author says, you won't finish with a complete detailed ready to ship product, but you will make a rapid progress and know for sure if you're headed in the right direction. So although dili siya ingon ka detailed after using this life cycle model, no, compared to other life cycle model nga magamit siya for long term nga mga projects. Using this, dili kay siya ingon nga mahimong detailed ang result, but uh, you'll make a rapid progress. Pas-pas gyud kay noon ni siya na kani ang i-follow. And teams here are encouraged to iterate on the last 2 phases, the prototype and the test stages, and develop and retest the prototypes. No? So uh, from prototype, mo ato siya sa test, no? And to iterate, no, there are times nga mobalik pa jud siya sa first nga stage. And if necessary, the first idea can be thrown away and the process will start again in the first phase. Now we have here uh, the unpack, no, the stage unpack. This actually focuses on making a map, no, of the challenge and choosing a target that is part of the challenge that can be achieved in a week. So there is an unpack, diri mangita og or diri maghimo og map, no, of the things that you're going to achieve in a week. And for the sketching, it focuses on the generating solutions. With focus or with an emphasis on sketching and creativity, no, rather than group brainstorming. It only focus on individual creativity. On the third day, which is the decide on the best or decide, it focus on critiquing the solutions generated on day one. No, so choosing what on the day is to choose the most likely to meet the sprint's challenge. And in additional, diri pod i-produce ang storyboard, no, for example, and whichever solution is chosen, the decider needs to support the design. And fourth is prototype. So it focus on turning the storyboard into a realistic prototype. So ang storyboard, this is actually literally this is a board, no, where all the decisions, no, ipang sulat sa sticky notes, all the ideas generated, ipang paste dito, no? And that is something on which customers, there is a in prototype, that is something on which customers can provide feedback. Okay, so uh, for the day 5, which is the test or the test with target customers, it focus on getting the feedback, no, from 5 customers, and it could be 5 to 10 customers baka, and learning from their reaction. So in short, mabura jud ka siya nga process, and it only needs fewer respondents. Your respondents will be your target user. So another life cycle here is called Research in the Wild by Rogers and Marshall. No, so it develops technology solutions in everyday living by creating and evaluating new technologies and experiences. So what we have here, this actually supports uh, designing prototypes where researchers often experiment no with new technological possibilities, no. So in the technology part, this is concerned with appropriating existing infrastructures, no, like uh, choosing the technology, for example, the things, the toolkit, uh, mobile application, no, or developing new ones, no, for for a given setting. For the design, this covers the design space of an experience. No, example, iteratively creating a travel plan, no, for example, for a travel planning tool for families, no, or any augmented or even augmented reality game, no, for playing outdoors. So in ana, so dira na siya gina or mo na yung mga cover niya si design. And in situ study, this is concerned with evaluating in situ an existing device, tool, service, or research-based prototype. And lastly is the theory. Basically, in this investigate no theories, ideas. This activity investigate theories, ideas, concept, or observations about behavior. So this is more like a technology related to human behavior. Okay, so some practical issues are listed here that we're going to talk about also. So first is who are the users, no? In in using a simple life cycle or in application of this simple life cycle na model, there are some practical issues, no, kung kinsa daw. First is who are the users, no? And identifying users may seem murag straightforward nga activity, but sometimes it can be the hardest part, no, kung kinsa jud ang mogamit. And there are surprisingly wide collection of people na who all have a stake, no, in the developing successful product. So according to this one example, no, uh, there's a more diverse, no, set of users for smartphones than most manufacturers recognize. So even smartphones, o ang technology nga gamiton is smartphones, it even have a diverse, no, set of users, no, based on Shazao. It has 382 distinct types of users, and based on an analysis of the of one smartphone app usage, they discovered, no, inani kadaghan, no, that includes screen checkers and even mga parents mga involved ani nga mga users. So also many products are intended for use by large sections of the population. So user is actually the term that refers to everybody. Kay given smartphones no makaingon ta nga murag uh, wala jud tawo nga wala ni gamit ani. That is why sometimes it is obvious also na who are the users or the stakeholders. No, first is it could be everybody. That is why lisod siya i-target. And more targeted products are associated with a specific role. So the term here, stakeholders, those are the individuals or groups that can influence or be influenced by the success or a failure of a project. So uh, maka-affect gid ang klase nga user no nga mo gamit sa design. And it is observed that and it is observed also that it is pertinent to a centered view of development that it says here that it will frequently be the case that the formal client who orders the system falls very low on the list of those affected. Now, be very wary of changes which take power. So, so some of the stakeholders for particular product will be larger no, than the group of uh, specific users, and it include katong customers nga nagbayad and also katong users nga nag-interact with ato nga uh, technology and developers who design katong nag-design, nag-build, nag-maintain and so on. So it is very important to really identify no who are the users because in a project no it actually helps to decide no who to involve as a users in when you're going to identifying the stakeholders will actually help decide kinsay involved and to what degree nga involved ang users. And uh, the second one is what are the users needs no it is very important na to know what does the user needs no at although na discuss na nato ni it remains an issue no practical issues in designing. Now, if you had asked someone in the street, in for example, mangutana ka unsay needs sa tao no, impromptu, you will ask. Uh, it might be something like food, shelter, clothes, no, basic. No, well, dili jud ka kadungog og something like need og uh, specific things like mga for example mga smartphone it might be not directly no so if you presented the same person no with these uh, possibilities and with whether uh, mupalit ba sila ana if uh, og available it might be different ang ilang tubag no and determining what product nga imuhang i-build is simply a question of asking people what do you need no it's not just as simple as that question nga pangutan-on lang nimo no when you're going to determine what they really need and then supplying it no because people they don't necessarily know what is possible or they don't necessarily directly know what they really need no at that moment. So so the things that you're going to do to know what are the user's needs is that here is to explore first is to explore the problem space mobalik yung tagyapon no di ari so explore ang problem space again and to investigate kinsay mga users and then investigate their activities and observe what can be improved and try out ideas with potential users. No, so if you come up with ideas on how to solve their problem, you should try. No, you should try that idea with a potential user, and also how to generate alternative ideas. So a common tendency, no, kung mag come up tag ideas is that kung unsalay pinakasayon, no, and recognizing, better solution sometimes usay para sa to murag lisod na kay siya hunaon-naon, and sometimes it is easy to accept the one that works as being good enough, no, kanang makita lang nato nga solution ani nga problem, okay na dayon, and settling for a solution that is good enough, maybe not dili siya inana ka kuan ka fit, no? Dili siya desirable for as a better alternatives. And considering alternative solution, this is very crucial step in the process of design. So the question is, uh, where do these alternative ideas come from? No, so where do alternative designs come from? So one answer to this is that they come from the individual designers' uh, creativity. No, it might be the one of the ideas nga magikan will be uh, one in the team member, no, so kung daghan mo, so it might be isa sa imong kauban, or it might be the designer itself. It might be true, although it is certainly true that some people they could produce an idea, while also others they struggle, no? They struggle in generating idea. So another thing is what we call as cross fertilization, no, cross fertilization of ideas, and this may result from the discussion of ideas with other designers, no, dili lang isa ka designer but also with the other designers, and different perspectives from users actually generate uh, uh, ideas, no, even original ideas, no, about alternative designs. So mo ani mga dapat timan-an. Okay, so example, for example sa evolution, no, i-consider na to ang cellphone, and if you're going to look at its descendant, no, so even if you're going to consider the smartphone, and then kung asa siya gikan, so the capabilities of the phone in your pocket have increased from the time they first appeared, no. Wala man siya nahimong inana nga cellphone pag invent, inana na siya kanindot sa una, wala pa gali touch screen, diba? So initially ang cellphone maka-receive lang og call, maka-text lang, mao na yung function. But now the smartphones supports a lot of interactions. Na it can take photos, it can record audio, it can play movies and games, and record your exercise routine. No? Pwede na gali siya i-connect sa mga smartwatch, may even mga other devices. So another approach to creativity, no, is that, no, based on Neil Maiden, no, they ran a creativity workshop to generate innovative requirements in an air traffic management. Their idea was to introduce experts in different fields into the workshop, and then invite stakeholders to identify analogies between their own field and this new one. So kibali mo rag kung unsay field nimo or trabaho nimo karon, you are given uh, you are given exposure, no, to different fields as well. No, for example, in this scenario nga akong gi-explain sa katong uh, creativity workshop, no, they actually invited Indian textile expert, no, they invited a musician, they invited a TV program scheduler, and even museum exhibit designer, no. So although not obviously dili tanan dili tanan maka-generate din ng idea, but imagine if nag-design sila ng traffic management and then they invited those uh, types of people, no? Although dili din makahatag og idea, but some of them actually gave suggestions, no. So yun na, so you can in designing to generate alternative ideas, you can actually seek inspiration. It could be on uh, other fields, or it can be even on the type of product nga gamiton, no, just to spark an interest or inspiration. Okay, so how to choose among alternative ideas. So if the designer has already listed down those ideas, and now the next problem is choosing among them, no. And that is where the designer have to make a decision. Okay, so and this decision will be informed by the information gathered about the users and their task, and by the technical feasibility of an idea. So interaction design, this focuses on externally visible and also measurable behavior, and in technical feasibility. So broadly speaking, though, these decisions, they fall into two categories. No, those are about externally visible and measurable behavior, and those are about characteristics internal to the system nga dili ma-observe, no? Dili dayon ma-observe or dili din ma-measure, no, without looking further into it. Now, for example, a photocopier, uh, it might be externally visible, no? Ang mga parts ato that is measurable are the physical size, no, of the machine, the speed and the quality and the different sizes of paper. But the underlying factor of each of those are other considerations. So, lahi na. So, it might be sa physical nga aspect, ma-measure na to. But the underlying aspects of those, it can be, uh, yeah, each of those, no, factors are other considerations na that can be observed without without dissecting the machine. So, how to choose, no, among alternatives, no, uh, is by firstly is one of the answer is by letting users and the stakeholders uh, interact, no, by discussing their experiences, preferences, and suggestions for improvement. So you don't just decide, or the designer don't just decide alone, but with the help of other stakeholders. And the design to do this must the design must be in a form that can be evaluated by the users. Okay, so not in technical jargon or something dili din masabtan sa users, or in any form of notation. And so evaluation actually helps no in choosing among alternatives with the users or with your peers or kauban sa member or kauban sa team. And also you can actually choose, or the designer can actually choose among alternatives through A/B testing. No, so this is an online method to inform choice between alternatives, and non-trivial to set appropriate metrics and choose user group sets. So, for example, uh, here in prototyping, there are there are actually misunderstanding no when it comes to testing the technical feasibility, but it actually overcomes no using the prototyping, and it involves a producing a limited version of the product, although that is not the final product, but that is just a uh, marag model no model sa product, and it involves limited version lang sa product with the purpose of answering specific questions no, about the design's feasibility or appropriateness. Na makita nila dito nga if the design is feasible ba siya, nga mapadayon or dili, or appropriate ba siya. And prototypes, it gives a better impression of the user experience than simple descriptions. And laylay na siya og kuan, and there are different kinds no of prototype nga musuit siya sa in every stages sa development. And when deploying a version sa prototype, another way to choose is to uh, deploy different variations. No, so lahi-lahi no if you have prototype to so that you could just choose no among those alternatives. No, those alternatives pwede to siya buhat ang prototype. So when those prototypes are deployed, uh, there are actually pag abot sa feedback, when you're going to collect the data no from the actual use, you can actually collect no different variations of or different types of data depende sa imong deploy nga variation sa prototype. And in that way, kato siya nga data nga na-collect that will be used to inform the choice, so that would actually help no. And another basis on how to choose between alternative is quality no, or quality threshold. And this requires understanding of what quality means no, kay quality man ang gilantaw. And the view no of people are different when it comes to quality, kay lain-lain man og standard ang tao, and everyone has a notion of the level of quality no that is expected, the level of quality that is wanted or needed from a product, and whether this is expressed formally or informally, it still exists and informs the choice between alternatives. Now, for example, one smartphone's design might make it easy to access, no? For example, a popular music channel, no? But restricts the sound settings, no? While other requires more complicated key to access the channel, but has a range of sophisticated sound settings. So lahi-lahi siya og uh, effects, no, sa settings. And one users may have a different view of quality, no. It may lean toward the ease of use, no, kay dili na mag-change og settings, while another one may lean on sophistication sa sound settings, kay gusto siya i-change uh, ang settings, no, sa sound, and that is for the quality. And next is on the question is how to integrate interaction design activities within other lifecycle models. So when we talk about interaction design, we know that uh, there are lots of design fields that overlap, no? And some or discipline that overlaps when it comes to the interaction design. And some of these disciplines, they have their own life cycles. And popular, no, among this life cycle, we have here the what we called as the software development, which uh, the software development and integrating interaction design activities. And this is actually the one of the prominent, no, or one of the most popular uh, life cycle. But uh, the latest one, no, that attempts to integrate these practices actually just focused on the agile software development. And this is well known. One of the well known agile model is what we call as the extreme programming, also the Scrum. Although not quite familiar with you, no, these methods differ. No? They differ, but they all stress the importance of the iteration. Now, those mentioned mga life cycle models, lahi-lahi to siya og kuan, lahi-lahi to siya og process sa sulod. And but they all have uh, but they stress, no, the importance of iteration. Uh, Also the user feedback and uh, the flexibility and structure, no, of the product. And they also all emphasize collaboration and face-to-face communication, streamlined process to avoid unnecessary activities. So although lahi-lahi sila, but the importance of uh, practice is of over the process is almost the same, no, as long as uh, mahuman, no, as long as ma-deliver, ano, ang isa ka product. So uh, in choosing the uh, types of model, no, in the end will be or will still depend, no, kung unsa imong i-design, kung unsa katason ng project, and uh, depende gihapon na siya sa mahimong needs sa user. Okay, so uh, okay, so again, the okay, just the key points, no, to leave you the key points. the basic activities, again, interaction design process that involves the discovering the requirements, designing alternatives, prototyping, and evaluation. And the user-centered design rests on these three principles: the early focus on users and tasks, the empirical measurement, now using quantifiable and measurable usability criteria, and iterative design.